and welcome to The Caring View, the online social care chat show available on YouTube, podcast, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, TikTok, believe it or not, and probably other places we are not aware of. Before we get started, do not forget to subscribe to us, our channel especially. You will miss out on episodes if you don't. Follow us on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook. Follow us on TikTok, and the views of ourselves, our guests tonight are of our own, not our organizations, blah, 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 usual spiel. Mark, Rebecca, good evening. Now, usually we do a news segment here, which we're not really going to do, although it is a bit of news, which is quite exciting. So, Rebecca, people will know you. You've joined us before on the show, Director of Championing Social Care. So how are you both tonight?
Good, thank you. I was halfway through cooking a bolognese, so I'm looking forward to that. But otherwise, good. How are you guys?
Honestly, we were going live, and Mark and I were like, "Oh, we're gonna have like a live cooking session. It's gonna be like this morning or something."
I thought I was going to have it done in time, but it took a bit longer than I thought.
Oh, honestly, not an issue. How are you, Mark?
Yeah, not too bad. Thank you very much. Very warm. It is very warm here in Essex tonight. But yeah, it must be the day of bolognese because that's what we had in our household tonight as well. So.
Are you surviving the summer holidays?
Just about.
I say this smugly because I have no kids. So I say this with real glee.
Yeah, no. So I've got a house full of, well, I don't now, but I've had a house full of kids since yesterday, so they all slipped over. So I've been off work today, so back into work tomorrow, off Thursday, back in Friday, and then chilling at the weekend. But yeah, no, I enjoy it. So I think I never really did school holidays before. It was always down to my wife to do. So I quite enjoy going out and about and spending far too much money and getting up to a lot of mischief. So that's what it's all about.
About time you did something around the arse. I say, I think about time. So, Rebecca, you are joining us because there is an event going on at Championing Social Care, and we want to tell everyone all about it. We are going to be involved in it as part of the Caring View, myself and Mark, but over to you, Rebecca, to tell everyone what it is you've got to cooking.
For sure.
Apart from your pasta.
Yeah, hopefully it's not cooking because I have just turned it off. Yeah, so it's come around to that time of year again, and we are doing Care Sector's Got Talent again. So you guys, viewers of the show, will remember we had Stronger Together community choir performing on the Caring View earlier in the year, and they were last year's winner. And we're back open for auditions. If you have a couple more days, if they want to enter, they have until the 12th of August, so this week, which doesn't seem like a lot of time, but you only need a very, very short sort of 30-second video recorded on your phone. So loads of time for people to get involved if they still want to. And we've already got some really great auditions. We've got singers and dancers. I think we've got magician, loads of things going on as always. So still a bit of an opportunity for people to get involved if they want to. The competition is open to people who receive care, people working in care, suppliers to the sector. If you've, any way connected, you can get involved. The more the merrier. And we're really, really excited to see the real diversity in care. That's what the whole program is really all about. And what we're really excited about is this year we are having a live final, which is the first year sort of we've been able to do that because of COVID, and that's where you guys are going to come in and get involved. And I think I've heard you're going to be sort of Anton Deck-esque as how it's been sold to me. So hopefully you're nice and prepared for that as well. So we'll have the live final, which is in Birmingham. At the theatre is called the Blue Orange Theatre with a live audience. So if people are around Birmingham or want to come to Birmingham on the 13th of September from next week, we will have some tickets, free tickets available for people to come along. If they've got, people they care for that might like to come along and see a live show, they're very, very welcome. We've worked with the theatre to make it as accessible as possible. So it should be that everyone can join us there too. And then we'll take the finalists to the Care Show and to the Leaders in Care awards in October as well. So winner gets £500 Love to Shop vouchers too, which is always good. And if that's across a group, that can be used, for a service, or it can be used for an individual. So lots of things going on. But yeah, 2 ways people can get involved. They can obviously enter, or they can come and watch the live final as well.
I'm not too sure about Anton Deck, probably, but maybe Little and Large, Jennifer and Saunders in Dawn French, maybe. I tell you what, no, perfect. I'm bald, you've got hair. It's Little Britain. Matt Lucas, David Williams. You know, you name it. We are the duo. We are looking forward to it. It's going to be so good. And I've just popped into the chat our episode of last year's winning because they were phenomenal. And it was just great to see so many people get together, have fun, and really celebrate, you know, hidden talents within social care. Because the biggest thing for me is we forget to see people as people when it comes to care. And this competition just brings out the best in people, and it just brings out the person. You know, we forget that actually care is involved, and it's just great to see so many hidden talents. And I want to see a variety of acts this year. You know, I want dancers. I think if anyone knows anyone who break dances in a care home, I mean, got my vote. I don't know if I'm allowed to vote. But
your role is not specifically to vote, but I'm sure you can have some influence in the setting as well. But yeah, I mean, last year we had such positive feedback, and I actually felt a bit like it seemed as though I'd made the feedback up, because I think 100% of our participants agreed or strongly agreed that the participating made them feel more positive about social care, and that also 100% said they felt that it brought their team more closely together as well. So, you know, it looks a bit ridiculous when you start sharing that feedback, but it is really worthwhile, and people do get a lot from it. So I would encourage people, even if they're sort of not certain that they might, some of the people that did very well last year were the people that were most apprehensive. So I'd really recommend people enter and get involved.
Deadline's this Friday, isn't it?
Yeah. So deadline is Friday for those auditions. So a couple of days. But as I say, just pop your phone on the side. Just a minute-long video is all we need to get you going. There's a form on the Championing Social Care website. It will take about 2 minutes to upload your video. So if you've even got a spare 5 minutes between now and Friday, you'll be able to get involved for sure.
I think I watched last year, and I remember just the buzz and the feel-good factor, and I think the live audience is going to be amazing. I think, there were so many goosebumps moments, so many moments of just like laughing out loud, and I think, I can't wait to be involved. I think it's going to be a really good event.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm really excited. I think it'll be great.
Well, I mean, hopefully to get people's creative juices going, we do have a regular viewer of the Caring View who is also an avid poet. Now, granted, all the poems aren't always really upbeat and cheery, but I think sometimes his poems really get across the point of what we're facing in social care at the moment. So I am talking about Carl Womack. He does live in residential care, and he does experience the negatives of social care at the moment, whether that be through mismanagement by the government or the public perception of it. He loves his care home and he loves the support that he's getting, but he wants more to change within social care. So I've got a poem from Carl now called Short of Supplies that I want to be able to read out, just to really get the people in the spirit to get some applications in and get their audition tapes in for this Friday. So, Short of Supplies by Carl Womack. Short of supplies and outcries. No shopping today. Staff running errands and appointments. Short of staff. I've had enough. I know they work enough. Staff, there's not enough. Politicians who've won. Social care is done. An industry that can't look after me or everybody. I know they need a break, but what will it take? Show you care, for goodness sake. For care workers, for residents and their family. Is this how you remember me? And I think it's just super poignant at this moment in time that Liz Truss has just pulled the 12 billion out of her arse for social care, because we're coming towards the end of their sort of leadership thing now that, social care has become this sort of, oh, well, it'll win me the race. Well, actually, no, let's put social care at the start of what we do, and let's really commit to it and care about it for what it is, not just to get yourself moving into number 10. Anyway, so Mark, Rebecca, are we looking forward to going worldwide with the streaming of it? It's going to be incredible. It's going to be incredible. Any top tips before applying before we go and move on with the show tonight?
Yeah, absolutely. So with the video, just make sure that, there's not too much background noise. That can be quite difficult for us to pick out what's going on. Make sure that things are as light and bright as possible, and just be as confident as you can be. I know it can be quite nerve-wracking for people, but I'm sure everyone else will think you're much more, I almost guarantee everyone will think you're much more talented than you do. So don't hesitate and do get involved. And just based on what you just said there, Adam, what I have mentioned is that the live final channel will be streamed. So they've got a really high quality streaming company who have very kindly agreed to come along, and care homes and services and across the country can register for a link, and they'll be able to stream it live into the different care services, day centres. Anyone will be able to access it for free. And there'll be opportunities to get interactive, and I think we're having Toby come along to get everyone involved. So it really will be sort of people getting involved around the country. So if you are an activities coordinator and you're looking for something for your team or the people you care for to get involved in on the 13th of September, look out for that link as well. That'll also be on the website, so people can get involved there as well.
Oh, well, honestly, brilliant. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, Rebecca. Thank you very much for having myself and Mark involved in it. We're very much looking forward to it. We will promote this as much as we can do. But yes, we will put some more stuff out on the socials. We'll get people applying. But yeah, thank you very much for joining us this evening.
No worries. Thank you for having me.
Enjoy your spaghetti bolognese. See you later.
Oh, yeah. So let's get on with the nitty-gritty of tonight, and it is CST, Cognitive Stimulation Therapy, in regards to dementia. Now, I am going to put my hands up and go, I don't really know too much about this, so I'm looking forward to this. Mark, are you an expert?
I'm not, no. So obviously a lot of my background is learning disabilities, but I did kind of put some social media posts out. I do have some questions from people that kind of got in touch. So yeah, I think tonight I think it's going to be a big eye-opener and a big kind of learning curve for me. So no, I'm really looking forward to it.
Okay, so let's welcome in Dr. Fuong and Janine Lane. Good evening, both. How are you? How are you, Dr. Fuong?
Good evening. I'm very well, thank you.
And Janine, how are you?
Yeah, good evening. Very well, thank you too. Thank you.
So, do you want to just introduce yourself so our audience know who they're watching and who they're talking to? And we'll start with Dr. Fuong.
Okay, thank you. First of all, I'm very delighted to be invited to join the Caring View social care live chat show today. And thank you, Adam and Mark, for having me. Okay, so my name is Fuong Leung. I am the founder of the individual Cognitive Stimulation Therapy, iCST, Dementia Education, Training and Consultancy. I'm a fellow of a higher education academy, teaching and support learning in higher education. I provide training to people, family carer and healthcare professional in the UK as well as international. So I obtained my PhD in psychiatry at University College London. My research mainly focused on conducting systematic review, designing, developing, and evaluating the effectiveness of the psychosocial intervention. And I also honorary Dementia Research Fellow at the University College London, the Division of Psychiatry. Yeah, okay.
I was going to say, I'm absolutely blessed by your presence. Then I mean, I should have asked, what don't you do, and what haven't you achieved? I think that's incredible. We'll come on more to some of your work in a little second. Janine, are you with us? I think Janine's having a bit of a problem. I think someone tipped her room over a little while ago. We had on her side. So hopefully Janine will be able to join us shortly. So Dr. Fuong, I want to ask, because this is an important thing for people who might be watching tonight. Mark and I both support people living in residential homes. We may not be direct managers anymore, but we have had a lot of work in the past on advocating for people in these scenarios. Myself, I'm a John's Campaign ambassador, so I ambassador for people living with dementia, and I want to make sure that we tailor this conversation for some of those people that might be listening as well. And the biggest thing they have is over medication to manage dementia conditions. Now, tell us what iCST is. Will this, or is this a way that we can reduce the need for medications? And what is it all about? What does it entail?
Okay, so I just give us some background of the iCST. So iCST offer a range of the mental stimulating activities and also enjoyable activities. And the iCST is developed based on the group CST. And group CST, the research indicates that the group CST, it benefits cognition, quality of life, and communication skill in people with dementia. And in 2006, CST is recommended by the National Institute Clinical Excellence Sciences. That means people with mild and moderate dementia should be given the opportunity to participate in a structured cognitive stimulation program provided by worker with training and supervision. So group CST it become available in the UK and internationally. So maybe you have the question said, why we need iCST?
Why do we need iCST?
Okay, so why we need the iCST? Because some people may not access to group CST. Why? It's a few factors there. We look at people with health, mental health, and mobility difficulties. They might not access to the group activities. Some people may not keen to attend group CST. That is one of the reasons. And also some of the group CST not available in some of the area. And some of the area have group CST services. However, due to the funding, many people have to be on the waiting list. So when they finish the group CST, they need to move on, and suddenly they don't have the direction where to go. So where is iCST? It takes place. And it also, for some people with vision or impairment or hearing, hard hearing, in the group, they might not participate as well as other people. So they might withdraw from the group activity. That it may be called a withdrawal or lost confidence. And finally, one more thing, iCST provides the opportunity for the family carer and family member to participate.
And I think that's what I find the best bit about this is that promotion of having the family member and their relatives and their friends, advocates, whoever involved in this. So let's say people are listening to this now and they're watching this now. How do they go around accessing the group iCST? What are the processes now? How do people get the benefits of iCST?
Okay, so from the research, we look at the, the primary aim is improve cognition in people with dementia, quality of life. We also look at the relationship with the carer and the carer well-being and depression symptom. And our research is a randomized control trial. And so far as we are, to our knowledge, that is the biggest randomized control trial to study the effectiveness of the iCST. However, we didn't find any significant difference in iCST and the people with usual care. So that not improve cognition. It doesn't improve the quality of life for people with dementia. However, it improves the quality of the relationship between the carer and the person with dementia from the person with dementia perspective. And carer have reported the improvement in health-related quality of life. And the more they do the iCST section, the less depressed they are.
I think one thing for me is I think it's great that we need to improve that relationship between the care worker and the person being supported, especially as there's a lot more administrative tasks nowadays. The carer spend more time focused kind of on the paperwork and the risk assessments and bits and pieces, and less time on actually focusing with the person. And I think that's great. What are some of the best cognitive activities that somebody can do with or for somebody living with dementia?
Okay, now iCST, it provides a range of cognitive stimulation activities. So if I saying it, you say, oh, it's not, you're quite familiar to it. So what is that? Word game, quizzes, art discussion, reminiscence, and current affair. So it seems like all these activity is very familiar to people live in a community, in a day center, and in a healthcare, home care. However, what is the difference between the iCST? Because we have a structure of the section, and it also we have the key principle to apply to it. So people need to incorporate with all the key principle when you do this activity in a structured way. So they all meaningful, but how are you going to do it? How are you going to deliver it? How are you going to communicate it? What kind of skill and technique you do? What kind of the theory underlie the iCST you need to understand?
Well, I mean, hopefully, Janine, can you hear us? Oh, Janine, you're on mute. 1 second. Can you unmute yourself? There we go. Oh, we can't hear you. No.
Oh, what a shame.
Oh, because I do know, and Dr. Fong will probably back me up on this, that Janine's got some really good examples of implementing iCST within settings as well. And I was hoping to be able to hear them from Janine directly. I mean, if Janine isn't being able to get her audio on, Janine, do you want to put them in the private chat? We might be able to bring them up and talk about them that way. Yeah, as Mark says, if you pop out and jump back in, that might change things. But as it stands at the moment, we're not able to hear you, unfortunately.
Whilst we wait for Janine, just kind of talking about the activities and bits and pieces. So I know that obviously when you introduce something new to care workers, sometimes it's a bit, for some care workers, especially the younger generation, it can kind of either be daunting or almost, I think sometimes they find it embarrassing, especially if it's something new and they don't know what they're doing. Would you have any tips for care workers on how to empower care workers to engage in the activities and the best ways to kind of implement them easily into a service?
When you say care worker, is that you mean formal care worker who provide care at home?
So somebody delivering care, so whether that's in a care home, whether that's in a supported living kind of accommodation, or home care.
So what my advice is, maybe it's attend the training to learn the key principle and to understand what is iCST. But if they haven't attended my training, and then maybe some of the key principle we can look at, like a person-centered approach, and we that is, we look at the we treat people as each person as individually, and we value their diversity, their opinion, and their belief. And also we provide the opportunity for them to choose activities. So that is quite a basic thing. Most, the healthcare worker understand it. And for the communication, we focus on opinion rather than fact. Because opinion, that give people the opportunity to express their opinion and feeling. So, for example, people with dementia, their short-term memory has been affected by the dementia. However, their feeling is stay with them. So when I provide the intervention, or when I interview people, they share their experience. Said, I might not remember what I did a few months ago, but I remember I achieved something for doing iCST. So their feeling I stay with them. Okay. I just wondered whether Jenny's back.
I'm back, but can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you too.
Okay.
So
My sharing is, I will leave it a little bit later, but I would like to. Jenny got too many successful cases, and I really would like Jenny to share, and then I would tip in with other tips. Yeah. Okay. So can I hand it to Jenny?
Yes, please do. Over to you, Janine.
Okay, Jenny, you need to introduce yourself as well.
Okay, so I'm Janine Lane. I'm a specialist nurse practitioner for dementia. Actually, just about to change role. I've just been successful in getting a new role as a consultant practitioner for dementia, frailty, and care homes. So a huge opportunity to keep developing everything that we're doing in dementia care and really move things forward. But I'm actually a district nurse by background, so I have many years in nursing and district nursing as well. And I actually really got involved with Phuong and iCST during the pandemic, when we were desperately looking for things that we could actually take to people as an opportunity to actually be able to have some meaningful activity in their lives, because lots of those support services, well, all of those support services that people had were shut down. They were closed, and we didn't have a clue when they were going to reopen. And very sadly, many of them haven't reopened. They have remained closed, or where they have reopened, they are at significantly reduced numbers. So iCST was a fantastic opportunity to actually work with families and with carers to actually look at what meaningful activity meant, how we actually worked with people who are living with dementia to have meaningful conversation, so that we can then look at meaningful activity, so that that person actually has regained some of their personhood that they may well have lost, and how we can actually focus activities around that person and that person's interests, which is not just incredibly beneficial for the person who's living with dementia, but it's incredibly beneficial for the people who are trying to care for them as well. So in my role, I constantly hear from families of, well, we've got no conversation anymore, we've got nothing to talk about. Well, actually, if you take the principles of iCST, then you can actually start to look at those conversations and rebuild those conversations, and think about communication, think about how we're talking to people who are living with dementia, so that we're not challenging those people, we're actually engaging those people in a meaningful activity and in meaningful conversation. So that's where it all started, and there were some mixed results during the pandemic, because families and carers were absolutely exhausted. And what I very much didn't want to happen was for families and carers to see iCST being another task, another job that they needed to do. But we tried our best, and we had some good results. But then I was very fortunate to actually be given an apprentice last year who is equally as passionate about dementia and caring for people who are living with dementia and their families as I am. And we've managed to actually successfully roll out iCST by facilitating the process and developing iCST using an apprentice to be able to do that. And we've had some astounding results. And we not only have we actually helped families better engage with their loved ones and understand how they can have conversation, look for meaningful activities and do meaningful activities with people, but we've actually been able to take iCST and use it so that we can actually better engage with people who are struggling to engage with other services, but also we've taken it and used it to enable people, especially people who've been having communication problems. So in the one very small area that I work in, we have a significant number of people who've got problems with expressive aphasia, so they struggle to have conversation, they struggle to find their words, they struggle to engage, they actually shut down. A lot of them are shut down. And we've used the fundamentals of iCST to actually work with those people to actually enable them to find their voice again. And we've successfully gone from somebody who, when it was first introduced to my service, was lying in bed, very, very depressed, wasn't really eating, wasn't drinking, had no communication with her husband, had no social engagement, to actually as somebody who now gets up every single day, she's eating, she's drinking, she's put some weight on, she's going out with her husband and having lunches with her husband. She can now, if you present her with a small book, a child's book, she can successfully read to you the words that are in that book. If you give her some proverbs, if you give the start of a proverb, she'll finish the end of the proverb, and she'll sing. She will sing to a karaoke of Elvis Presley. And that was all by using the fundamentals of iCST, really getting to know that person, getting to understand her, getting to know what her likes were, getting to know what her dislikes were, really, really building that trust with that person, and then moving on to those things that were actually going to be beneficial. Fantastic family, and they asked me to put everything down in writing, which I did, and sent it to them, and they chose to share that with friends and family, so that when she's now out and about, friends and family know how to better engage with her as well. So her life has gone from literally being in a bed, really not wanting to be bothered with the rest of the world, to actually now having a social life and actually being out and about. So it's incredibly powerful. Another fantastic example, just sort of giving you different ends of the spectrum of what that can look like, is actually another lady that we have who very sadly has quite early onset dementia, really, with vasculitis. But she has a nasty fungating tumour on her arm, which she was absolutely terrified, absolutely and utterly terrified of having anything done with that. And really didn't want anything. So district nursing were having to visit 2 or 3 times a week to change nasty dressings that were quite offensive in their smell, really quite malodorous. But by using the fundamentals of iCST, we very quickly knew that this lady had always taken pride in her appearance. Always, right throughout her life, actually taking pride in her appearance was so, so important. So we spent time with her again, building that trust, doing lovely things with her, managed to get to her hairdressers, to get her hair cut and sort her image out better that way, having her nails painted and building her trust around that, and then actually using that to say, wouldn't it be nice if you actually didn't have that nasty dressing on your arm, if we could actually do something about that? And managed to take that forward so far that she is now engaged with a plastic surgeon and is going to have that fungating tumour removed. So all those fundamentals of the huge value of iCST in terms of that relationship building have lots of different avenues that we could actually take that down, so we can actually really work with people who are living with dementia to really have that person-centered approach, so that we can get to know them, fully understand them, and actually then use that information so that we can actually enhance their lives, enhance the quality of their lives, and actually have much, much better health and social care outcomes for those people.
I mean, I'm sold. You know, I was sold before we started talking. I think this is fantastic. I think it's essential, and I don't want to. I'm going to ask this sort of question once, because I just know there's going to be relatives watching this going, Golden ticket. This is a little too good to be true. So I'm going to go back to Carl's poem at the beginning of this show. We don't have enough time. We don't have enough staff. We don't have enough resources. We don't have enough supplies. So everyone who's sat here going, oh, this is fantastic. This will be great for my mum. And then are getting overwhelmed with this sense of dread that actually their care homes might not be able to cope. They might not be able to implement this. They might not have the staff to do it. How labor intensive is it? And is that something people need to consider, and how do we get around it?
Okay, I think I would like to answer this question. In fact, Jenny is working very closely with me. She attended my training 2 years ago, and we have a very close contact. In fact, we have the meeting every Wednesday. So I know, her work, but iCST is not an actual task for family carer. iCST, I think it's very good when Mark say he noticed straight away, build the relationship, improve the quality of the caregiving relationship. Why? Because they spend time together, do meaningful activity. Carers usually focus on households, do finance, running around in the house, hardly got time to sit down with their, for example, children carer have no time to sit with their parents. But however, when you do iCST, it's the time they share mutual sharing, pleasurable activity, and mutual support as well. So it's not an extra task for them to do. In fact, the carer said, doing iCST, it really build a cement their relationship. And the person with dementia said, have a laugh and the barrier come down. So they don't have a barrier between them. And if you think a very good quality of caregiving relationship in health and social care, you know how valuable is it? Very worldwide outcome. And it comes from the perspective of the person with dementia. They felt they have less criticized from the carer and get warmer. That is a scale we're using. Warmer and less criticized. And that's why they build a good relationship. So I just want to share, when parents come to my training and they said, oh, I didn't realize carers have a vital role in health and social care. They always said when someone is been diagnosed with dementia, and then that's it. But they didn't know that they can do something from a different perspective. So I would like, if the audience here today, carers, it really need support. And iCST, it really is the intervention for both people with dementia and their carer. And the quality of the relationship is very vital in health and social care.
Thank you very much. I think for me, just listening to kind of Janine sharing both those stories, they were lovely. They were really heartwarming. And actually, I think for me, just kind of highlighted the importance of kind of meaningful activities and the family being involved. We've had a question come in. I'll bring it up on the screen from Chris, who says that he's been listening. He sounds a bit like the Montessori education, which is being looked at for people living with dementia. Would you agree with that, or would you say it's not the same, or what would you respond with? If we come to Janine first for a response.
I think there are that we have similarities, but there are also differences, because I think with iCST, for me, using it the way that we are using it, which isn't just about actually looking at meaningful activity and those relationships. It is about what is our end game? What are we actually hoping to achieve here as well? And that for me makes it slightly different, because we very much, We're very much so when I get somebody that I think on my caseload or referred to me that I think is actually somebody who would be very appropriate for us to go down the iCST route, I always head into that with an idea of what it would be, what our end game would be, what are we looking at? Is this that we're actually trying to improve the relationship within a family and trying to make that more sustainable and helping that family better understand about how they can communicate, because I think communication is just so important. It's so vitally important, and helping families understand that you can have conversation with people who are living with dementia. You just need to change how you're actually doing that conversation. So it's not about asking questions, it's about talking with the person, engaging the person in conversation. So that might be one of our end games for some families, to improve that relationship. But the other end game for some of the families is about actually, we've got a genuine health or social care outcome that we really need to try and get to the bottom of. So it could be about having a tumour really removed. It could be about helping that person engage with a package of care that they've absolutely refused to have anything to do with, and how we actually introduce that. So I think there are definitely some similarities around the Montessori idea around dementia, but I do think it is on a different level. It's definitely on a different level.
Thank you very much. And one thing as you were kind of giving the answer then that kind of popped into my head was around obviously the pandemic. And I know we touched on it earlier. And obviously if there's so much emphasis on obviously the communication, and obviously both of you going in to support families and people living with dementia, what was COVID like when obviously the world was kind of shut off to services? Were you still able to go in and support people, or was it done kind of remotely? Or what was the impact?
I was a frontline practitioner and did face-to-face visits right throughout the pandemic, never stopped. Apart from when I was in hospital myself with COVID, I never stopped. No, my service didn't shut down at all, and it became more and more important. So because I work in China as well as here in the UK, I was actually kind of a little bit ahead of the game of what was coming our way. So I actually, ahead of the game, successfully wound down one of our local authority care homes, so that we made sure that everybody who'd been attending daycare actually had the right package of care in place to support them during the pandemic. And then that actually became a bigger part of my role, was actually making sure that not only the people who were already on my caseload were actually getting the care that they needed, but all those people who had actually been reliant upon other services, especially daycare services, where they were going and having their hair cut and having a bath some days, having their toenails done, having a hot meal every day, actually making sure that those people were supported. And iCST became a big part of that, to make sure that we were offering something meaningful to those people and those families who had quite literally been thrown in the deep end. That those few hours of respite that they had been getting had been removed. So about how we actually supported those families, and as I say, I mean, the communication part of that was absolutely essential.
Yeah, I think it's to reflect what is Elaine's cases, and because in iCST the primary aim is improve cognition, but we didn't achieve that. Yeah, the reason is related to research. The limitation there, because like we suggest 3 sessions a week, and each session is 30 minutes, and only 40% of people complete 2 to 3 sections. 21 of them 1 section, and 39% it didn't complete any section. Therefore, the adherence of people do the activity is not in a power to compare the one is on the user care and the people who do the intervention. So it just make it simple. For example, if you look at you taking medication, the doctor said you have a headache, you take the medication 2 paracetamol every 4 hours, maximum 8 of them. Either you say nothing, or you take 1, or you take 4 a day. So that means not enough dose. So that's why we couldn't find the differences between the people participate in iCST and the people in user care. People didn't do it. So that's one thing. The second thing, we know the relationships, that's the secondary outcome we look at. But because the key principle, it looks at the way we communicate. So that's why you can see the difference there. So iCST is not there to test your memory. iCST is there to connect with you. We just say connect, not correct. That's why we build the relationship. We give people power. So we empower people with dementia. So like when Elaine said the cases, a lot of people say, oh, whether it's that easy. But in fact, if you've got a good communication, you apply the key principle in, and you can see the difference. And you can see carer have a better quality of life. So what is leading us to? Let the press, if they do more iCST, think about what it led to. The reduction of the depression and improve the quality of life. That means they have a lower using drug or non-drug intervention. And for the longer term, they have a better ability to provide care. And our policy, that means we want to keep people in the community as long as we can. And if the carer have a better quality of life, less depressed, a good quality of relationship, that is very worldwide outcome.
And you touched there on... Oh, go on, Janine, go on.
So I think I would just add to what Fawn's saying there is that I think if I know I have been incredibly fortunate in how I've been able to roll out iCST by having an apprentice. It's made a huge difference because actually doing 1 or 2 sessions with the family to help them understand what iCST is about, and then leave it to them to actually see how they take that forward. It has some weaknesses there because they're so exhausted. Most of them are so exhausted all of the time. So what we have been offering is that my apprentice would actually do up to 12 sessions over 6 or 12 weeks, depending what is right for that family, or longer if even once a week was too much. But ideally we were looking for the apprentice to go in and spend 2 sessions a week over a 6-week period, and we were offering 2 hours at a time. And for lots of people 2 hours is too long. It's far too long, but it did give that opportunity to actually work with the family and not just the person that is living with dementia, so that in that process what we're doing is actually helping and educating the family or the carers how to communicate. It's so much about communication, about actually how to better communicate so that you can actually then have those more meaningful relationships. So as I say, all of our families have been offered 12 sessions, 2 hours each session, and then we've adopted the same ideas around group cognitive stimulation therapy, that we will then actually go on and give maintenance sessions, which will be fortnightly, depending on the needs of that family, or monthly. So that we keep supporting them with it, so that they haven't learnt this new technique, they haven't learnt the tricks of the trade, and then they're left alone to get on with it. We're still there to actually be able to support them with that. But it has been an incredibly valuable tool. Not just in terms of actually lighting up the lives of people who are living with dementia, but actually helping families much better understand how they can actually communicate with their loved ones, have those conversations that they thought had gone, that they didn't exist anymore. And then there is that additional support, that we are there in the background supporting them. And And I think it's a very, very strong tool, and we have lots and lots of capacity how we actually grow the fundamentals of iCST.
Mark, can I be cheeky and just come in really quickly? I know you want to say something.
Yeah.
I just want to, because all of this, because I don't know whether you've heard of John's campaign, but John's campaign is an initiative that was set up in the memory of Dr. John Gerard. He was living at home with a dementia. He could garden, he could hold conversations, he could help himself eat his own dinner. He would do little tasks around the home. He ended up going into hospital with like a routine leg ulcer check, and whilst he was in hospital, there was an outbreak of DMV, I think it was. So that was it. Doors shut, shutters up. Obviously, nowhere near as bad as what COVID did, but 2 weeks, I think it was 2-3 weeks, he was shut off from his family. They weren't there every day. They weren't doing the things they normally did with him. So unfortunately, after that 3 weeks was over, he'd forgotten how to garden. He couldn't feed himself anymore. He wasn't able to drink anymore. He couldn't hold those conversations. And in a short period of time after, and a couple more hospital trips, he died. And John's campaign was set up with the idea that actually we need to make sure that hospitals and care homes are fully aware of the importance of families and getting them involved in the daily life, because actually they're the people who provide that stimulation and that activity, which is what iCST is all about. So if I'm sat here now as a relative going, well, this is wonderful, this is great, I can get behind iCST, I'm going to work with my loved one, we're going to have these conversations and we're going to do the things that we want to do, but I'm absolutely petrified for them going into hospital. I am petrified about them going into respite, because if that culture doesn't exist in that clinical or that social care setting, what's the damage going to be when they come home? So what's the plan to get iCST within care settings and to get health and social care providers fully aware of the importance of this?
I think that is very, very good. I did send you a letter with, Jenny and me wrote to the editor of the International Journal, Geriatric and Psychiatrist. And we know that research indicates that cognitive and psychosocial intervention is underused in dementia care. And it's also, there is a gap of the complementing non-pharmacological intervention. So that what more we can do to implement iCST. So as you are aware, we have the pandemic for 2 years. So now we have to plan, we have to foresee what happened in the future, whether it's the pandemic come back or getting worse. So we have to look at the online technologies, digital technology. So we need to have more study in that. But however, face-to-face, we still need to, but we need health and social care provider and policy maker is really a promote iCST into their health and social care setting. They need to send their staff to train iCST. For example, Jenny get whole team to come to my training, and some of that other NHS trusts as well. And the feedback was amazing. And also I provide the Stay Connected workshop. So I've been invited them back 3-4 months after they attend the training, and they would come to, I think Elaine, Jenny attend a couple of times. And one time I particularly asked Jenny to come back to share her experience and good practice. So that's the thing is we need to do. And when they attend the training, they can meet the other team and people, other team, other healthcare professional, same as they meet family carer. And in my training, I also provide a section to identify the benefit of iCST. What is the barriers or the factor hinder you to participate in iCST? Because there is wide range of things you need to look at. Like you said, it's not beautiful, as we said, we face, difficulty. How are we going to deal with that? How are we going to develop the problem-solving strategies? So most people said, I don't have time. I don't have time for my mom. So we start with, do you cook? Yes. Can you get your mom involved in cooking? Yes. So why does she do? They help you with the vegetable, you cooking, and you prepare to talk to your mom. So that is, the solution.
So just on this then, so we've got a comment. Well, we've got 2 comments that have come through in the chat on YouTube, which is I'm presuming is a family member who is considering this and is listening to this. So first part of the question is, how's the training delivered? Because if, let's say, they're the family care and they have to look after their loved one, they may not be able to attend a physical setting. So is it done remotely? Is it done via Zoom? Is it done in person? And what level of dementia can is targeted? What sort of severity of dementia are we looking at when we talk about iCST?
Okay, so usually the healthcare professional attend my training and they went back to their organization and they train the carer individually. They're at their own home, and sometimes they do online to train the carer.
And sorry, what about family carers then?
That it means family carer.
Oh, so the actual settings themselves, the care homes themselves.
Jenny trained family carer.
Right.
Yeah, to work directly with them, but to also train them to deliver the intervention. Yeah, so that's one thing. iCST is designed for people with mild and moderate dementia. However, because it's one-to-one, so you can cater to the person's need. As I said earlier, some people with dementia might not communicate very well, particularly at their advanced stage. So they're mainly using body language. But iCST still can do that. So I just said one example. A person, family carer come to my training and her husband have rare dementia, aphasia, so he cannot communicate. But after the training, she said he start to have eye contacts, her body language is connect, he start to have a smile on his face. So that means he received the message. And she's subject to the mental health team to use that as the care package. So that is mean we don't have the evidence to say that it's work for people with severe dementia or advanced. However, with the key principle, you connect with the person. A lot, communication skill through the connection of body language. Janice, you have got anything to share with that? I know that you've got a lot.
I would absolutely echo that, because communication isn't just verbal communication, it's non-verbal communication as well. And so actually we can still apply the fundamentals of iCST right to the end stage for people living with dementia, especially through the use of Namaste, the end of care pathway for people who are living with dementia as well. They all interconnect. It is about that really important, hugely important part of that personhood and that person-centered care and that communication. Adam, I'd just like to jump back a little bit to your the previous question about how we actually going to how we're going to make this work with all different sectors. I actually think we are living in a golden moment at the moment with the development of integrated care services. I think it is our golden opportunity that we are working closer right across the board, whether that's primary care, acute care, social care, the tertiary sector, whatever sector it is, it's our golden opportunity. I certainly work incredibly closely with my local hospital. So I'm in primary care, but work very, very closely with Kingston Hospital. I go into Kingston Hospital. Kingston Hospital have come out and spent time with me in the community so that we're all better understanding what it is that we're doing in different care settings. And I think this is our it really is our golden moment that we have the opportunity to actually look at dementia care pathways and how we actually bring all these services together and all the different techniques that we can be actually using. And certainly I think it's a very exciting part of my new role is to actually be able to do that. So yeah, I think we have the knowledge. We are in a very privileged position working in some of the roles that we are working in to actually move this forward. We just need to make sure that we're all doing it together and sharing knowledge and experience, which is what this is about tonight too.
Yes, definitely. So my mission is working together to make a difference in dementia.
Yeah.
So I think for me, I'm listening and I've made so many notes. I think for me, I wish I'd known about iCST a couple of years ago when I was supporting people out in the community. I think I supported so many families where there was such a breakdown, which ultimately led to a person being admitted into a care home. And actually, I wonder whether or not, if I'd known about it back then, so I could have referred somebody in or at least signposted them to this service, actually how many of those care home admissions would have been avoided, and actually how many of those people would still be living with their families, having a better quality of life, re-engaged, and actually, relearning skills that they'd lost because of the dementia. So yeah, I'm very conscious of time, but I think if there's any care workers looking kind of out there, but I'll definitely be sharing this because I think like you said, there's so much meaningfulness to it and actually life-changing for somebody.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the conversation has been great tonight. I think it's just been an eye-opener. It's been a surface scratcher. It's been that tip of the iceberg popping its head up out of the ocean. But it does remind me, one of the questions earlier about how the levels of severity of dementia and what's the work that we can do with people. It always reminds me of that validation therapy that happens with people with dementia and trying to bring back those lost memories and trying to bring back those muscle memories, those music memories. And if anyone doesn't know what I'm talking about with validation therapy, I'm just going to pop it into the chat so everyone can see it. It's a video on YouTube. It's absolutely incredible. Get your tissues ready though, because it is really heartwarming and heart touching. But I just want to thank you both for raising the attention around CST and the importance of including families and family carers and loved ones in the day-to-day lives of people with dementia. If you could say one thing to family members who are watching this now who feel like all hope is lost, because it is a common feeling with people who have got relatives with dementia, what's the one thing you would say to them as your parting words on tonight's show?
Jenny, you want to say anything?
So I think my parting words would probably be people living with dementia are still people. They're still people with a huge amount of history, a huge amount of life experience, and a huge amount of value to society, regardless of where they are on their journey. And if we can better communicate and we can learn techniques that can help those people communicate, then we can significantly improve the quality of life for those people who are living with dementia.
Very good. Okay, so add to Jenny, because it's really a lot of them is really key principle is really good to apply to everyday life, and particularly you work in the field. But for me, I think it's one key thing I would like to focus on it. That means maximize people with dementia potential. Focus on their strengths, not weakness. Stay connected, not correct. So I think, because the other thing I said already, so focus on their strength, maximize their potential.
Absolutely brilliant. Thank you so much. Mark, final thoughts?
Yeah, no, I think Dr. Fong's just summed it up perfectly. Actually, just because you've got dementia or you're living with dementia, actually, you haven't lost all your skills and ability. It's just a new section of your life, and actually you can relearn that, and everybody's got capabilities to relearn certain skills. It might not be back to base level, but actually just giving somebody back that control over their life can make such a difference and empower them. So
I think a lot of things we can do. We can do it called refine the activities, compensate what you lost, but focus on what you still have. Don't take away people's skill. Don't take away their skill because there's still skill there. So it goes back to Jenny said, there's still a person, they still got a lot of things to give. Yeah, so I think because we run out of time and quite a lot of things to discuss.
There's definitely room for another conversation on this.
Yeah.
And maybe we need to offline have a chat about the different points that we want to be talking about with the CST, and we'll book another show and we'll have a further conversation. But we are at time. We are going to have to call it an evening. Again, the hour has just escaped us. I can't believe it. Mark, look, who have we got on next week?
I was prepared. So next week we are discussing succession planning. So we've got Paul Blaine and Nicola Holmes joining us. So I'm really looking forward to next week. So I think it's something that in social care doesn't seem to happen as much as it should. And actually, yeah, I think it's going to be an eye-opener for many people. So
exciting stuff. Really looking forward to that myself. Well, thank you both so much for joining us this evening. Thank you for Rebecca, who has parted ways with us quite early on in the show, for joining to talk about Care Sector's Got Talent. And this has been the Caring View. We are back here next Tuesday, live at 7:30 as always. But until then, good night and thank you for joining us.
Well, thank you for having us.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.